How's it going? And welcome back to Chasing Victory with Ben Ballin and Jason Lee. I'm Ben Ballin and that's Jason Lee. And today we got a Jets and Giants season recap, what they have to do next, some sort of thing like that. So, Jason, how's it going?
It's going good, Ben. We're in NFL playoff mode. Chargers Texans game as we speak to kick off the weekend. It's funny that we're talking about two teams that are not in the playoffs, the two teams that are as far away from the postseason as you can get. So it should be an interesting show.
Yeah, I mean these two teams that we're talking about today are not in playoff mode whatsoever. But let's start with the team that they weren't even close to the playoffs, but they were a little bit closer. Gang Green, the Jets. So, Jason, what do you think they did well this year? I know there's not a whole lot, but
I will say before I get into it, there was a lot of optimism with this team. There was a
yeah,
lot of hope with this team, especially after how last season went. Their season lasted 4 plays last season. At least he played a game this time. And Aaron
he played all
Rodgers,
17.
he played all 17. He didn't get hurt. That's right. But it was a false hope at the end of the day, as it was proven. I mean, look, they started off decent. They lost to the Niners, and then they won two straight. And then that turning point against the Denver Broncos, that awful game at MetLife, pretty
Where Greg
much
Zerline missed the field goal.
there it goes. Downward spiral from there. I think they lose the next one, two, three, four, five, four. They lose the next five of the last six after that, and then they just go on a big losing streak again. But I will say what went well for the Jets. A lot of the young talent that stepped up. Brees Hall stepped up. Braylon Allen stepped up. Garrett Wilson stepped up. I feel like even in the mix when Devontae Adams came over, I thought when Devontae Adams came over, Garrett Wilson was going to be an outcast, but I feel like he wasn't. Aaron Rodgers made sure his voice was heard, and that's pretty much it for the good. I mean, there's really not much left besides that. Everything else turns into a negative, whether you like it or not. I mean, it all starts with Aaron Rodgers, of course, right? I
Yeah, I
mean,
mean it's like we'll get to that in a couple minutes because there's a lot more good or there's a lot more bad than there is good. But for what I'm gonna say for good, I have a kind of a couple things, and this is more like trending to their off season. But I like that they're bringing in a third party to assist with their head coach and general manager search. They're interviewing so many people. The 33rd team. I don't know who they've hired in the past, but they're bringing in some highly touted guys. Thomas Dimitrov from the Falcons for GM. They're interviewing all the regulars for head coach. So nothing too special there, but they're interviewing a ton of people. I saw they interviewed the Maryland head coach. I thought that was pretty interesting. But that's a really good positive like that. Woody Johnson isn't getting in the way, and he's kind of stepping out of it and letting the professionals do what they do best. I also think that their running backs were really, really solid this year. And I think moving forward, Braylon Allen and Brees Hall are going to be the two running backs. They're gonna be one of the best 1-2 punches in the league as far as running backs go. They're not gonna be Jameer Gibbs, David Montgomery, but they're both gonna be solid running backs. I think so. I think those are the two things that they did well this year.
I do like. I feel like that's a good spot for them to be in next season. I'm glad that Woody Johnson is doing the. He's not like overly aggressive with these hirings and this whole scouting thing. I think the firing of Robert Saleh after I forget what game it was, but Robert
It
Saleh
was
got.
week. I think it was either week 4 or 5.
Oh, so the Denver game, the Denver Broncos game.
I think no. I think he coached one more game after that.
Did he go to London? I think he went to London. Yeah,
Yeah, I think so.
he got canned after the Bills game then.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah, it was.
but
It was. It was.
still,
It was. Yeah, they were still like in the mix.
that was out of the blue to me. Like I woke up the next day and see Robert Sala was fired. Why? Like I don't think he was essentially the main problem, and that's the thing. I get like it all falls on the head coach. That like all these mistakes fall on the head coach, and that's the reason they get fired. But like Robert Sala was not really the problem. I feel like he was a good leader on the defensive side because that's what they do well. That's what the Jets did well in the previous years. They always had like a decent defense, and Robert Sala was that guy to help. But I feel like when Joe Douglas or not Joe, what's Greg Olbrich?
Yeah, Jeff Ulbrich.
Jeff Ulbrich, yeah, that's the guy. When he came in, like everything just took a turn for the worse. Like
Well,
nothing.
I mean, you're having your special teams coordinator be your interim head coach. I don't think that's necessarily a recipe for success. And I agree with what you said, and that Robert Sala wasn't the problem. The reason he got fired, though, is the team had lost whatever it was, 3 out of 4 games. After starting the year, I don't know. They were still in the mix of things, but they had 2 bad losses in a row. The team needed a kick in the butt. They needed to wake up. It was supposed to be a spark plug, but it didn't work. And that's another example. Woody Johnson getting in the way. Aaron Rod. I don't think it falls on Aaron Rodgers, but it's all stems from Aaron Rodgers. Everything that went wrong with the Jets, it stems from Aaron Rodgers. He's the nucleus of the team. He's the epicenter, and everything revolves around him. And that's the problem. They let Aaron Rodgers run the organization, and now look where they are.
Exactly. You let him run the organization. Let's not forget to mention he wasn't even that good this
No.
season. Where was the
Right.
MVP that won 4 years ago? Where was that guy? Aaron Rodgers, what, 86.8 right here, I think. 23rd in the league amongst quarterbacks when it came to passer rating. When has Aaron Rodgers had a stat line like that where he was ranked 23rd amongst quarterbacks? I feel like
And an important stat nonetheless.
exactly like when Aaron Rodgers came to the Jets, everyone knew his voice was going to be priority when it came to the players. Everyone made sure that his voice was heard no matter what in any situation. But that kind of backfired right away. I mean, when he took a backseat, obviously last year when he got hurt, I've heard some positive things. Like he was helping out with like the quarterbacks. He was like not the same Aaron Rodgers that like everyone sees in the media. But when he came back this year, he was healthy. And then everybody, when the Jets went on this losing streak, it's oh my God, Rodgers. Here we go again with this guy. Like,
it's the part that he can't keep his head out of the media. He's always going on Pat McAfee. He's always saying this. He's taking a trip to Egypt during mandatory minicamp. It's his fault. He's supposed to be the leader. He's supposed to be the A1 guy that shows all these young players that are surrounding him, the Brees Halls, the Quinnen Williams, the Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner. He's supposed to show them the way. He's supposed to show them how to win. And when he's doing all this extracurricular stuff, it's not okay. And that's why it's his fault, even though it might not be his fault on the field.
I mean, it kind of was his fault on the field too.
It was, but it also wasn't.
Yeah, there's a lot more that went into it when it came to the Jets playing this year. But yeah, Aaron Rodgers was supposed to be like the savior. I forget what they gave up for Aaron Rodgers in a trade. Yeah, but you gave up a lot because you thought this was the guy. Obviously, Zach Wilson wasn't going to work out. Obviously, any quarterback that started a game wasn't going to work out.
And how could you not think this was the guy if you're the Jets? Like he's won how many 4 MVPs in his career. He's been a top guy in the league his entire career. Like I don't know, it seemed like it was a match made in heaven, but the Jets are a cursed franchise, so it wasn't.
Yeah, it was like Aaron Rodgers, his like whole career story before he came to the Jets, 2005 was like first round draft pick. He was a first round draft pick, but he wasn't the first quarterback off the board. But like he went to Green Bay,
and he dropped a lot more than people thought he would.
Yeah, exactly. He went to Green Bay. Him and Mike McCarthy clicked. They won a Super Bowl. And, he rode off into the sunset with Green Bay, and then the Packers drafted Jordan Love, and Aaron Rodgers got pissed. Aaron Rodgers ends up in New York. Here we are, 40-something-year-old Aaron Rodgers, who we didn't know how long he was going to last this season, is completely, he's just like a baby. Like when things don't go his way, you're gonna hear him, and it's just like toxic in that locker room. Like it's not the same Aaron Rodgers that was, let everybody else come together as a team. Aaron Rodgers wanted to make sure when he came to the Jets that he was the main guy running the ship, And unfortunately, the ship sank right now. The ship is underwater, and it's going to take a while for it to get to float.
But the captain hasn't really gotten down with the ship because Aaron Rodgers is still viewed in like a relatively positive light, and people still believe in him. So it's a little bit counterintuitive with what he's done here. He wants all the credit when he does something good, but he doesn't want to take any of it when everything went bad, which is what happened with the Jets this year. It's more than Robert Saleh. It's more than Woody Johnson and the Madden ratings. Like, that is just ridiculous. Let's spend some time on the Madden ratings. How do you play players based on Madden ratings? Like when Madden is making their ratings, they're gonna make teams balance. They're gonna make it so one team is not way too overpowered and the other teams can't compete. How do you, as an NFL franchise trying to be the overpowered team, listen to the game that's trying to make everything balanced?
Exactly. And like, what 77-year-old man is playing Madden or is reading articles on Madden? Like, seriously, that's something Jerry Jones hasn't even done yet. Like, that's insane. Like, what was it? The whole like, oh, I didn't want to get Jerry Judy because of Madden. Wait, let's look at Jerry Judy now.
Jerry Judy's playing in the playoffs.
Oh, he's a Pro Bowler. He looked great. Like, he turned it around in Cleveland. I don't know how, but like it's insane. Like, they didn't want to get him because of Madden ratings. Like that's the owner you have that looks at a video game, looks at his overall, and says, you know what? No, Devontae Adams, 90-something overall. That's our guy.
That's him. That's it.
Mike Williams, he's in the 80s.
No, that's too low for us. He doesn't make the cut.
No. Mike Williams gets blamed for Mike Williams gets blamed for a loss against the Texans. Not the Texans. He loses to somebody else. He loses to somebody in a primetime game. Gets blamed. Goodbye. Mike Williams gone. Mike Williams, Steelers playoffs. There you go. Like, yeah. Let's look at everybody. Let's do a Madden franchise. Let's do a 2025 simulation. Let's see who you draft. That's who we're gonna draft. That's who the Jets are going to choose. Like, if it's a quarterback, there's a quarterback. Hell, if it's a safety, we're going to take Malachi Starks because Madden told us to. We're going to potentially screw up the whole spectrum of the New York Football Jets organization because a video game told us what was right. A video game gave us an A+ for our draft pick.
Do you think Woody Johnson plays Madden on all Madden, or do you think he plays on a lower difficulty?
No, he plays on semi-pro, arcade, and has a salary cap off, trade on difficult, because he can only trade for terrible people. That's why. That's where Woody Johnson is on Madden, man. It makes no sense.
It's ridiculous. Like, everything the Jets have done since bringing in Aaron Rodgers. And I was a big believer in what they did in this offseason. Pretty much revamping the offensive line. They did a lot the offensive line was their main focus, and that's what it had to be coming into this year. Because last year, let's face it, their offensive line was brutal and it sucked. But this year, it wasn't much better. They drafted Olu Fashanu, top 10. He's an offensive lineman. They traded for Hassan Reddick, which I thought was going to be a good trade, except Hassan Reddick didn't feel like playing football for the New York Football Jets. And it just, I don't know, everything fell off the wheels. The wheels fell off the bus very early this year for the Jets. A lot earlier than people thought, and then it should have. Because they should have been good this year. Like, if you look at their roster on paper coming into the year, it was a solid roster. And then when you think you're adding Devontae Adams, do you think your roster is going to get better or worse? It's going to get better. You're putting Aaron Rodgers back with a person he won multiple MVPs with a person he loved. They were like best buds in Green Bay. They were always really good with each other. So in theory, they were going to have an awesome year, but it's not how it worked out. And for the Jets, I don't know. Do you blame it on Woody Johnson? Do you blame it on Aaron Rodgers? Do you blame it on Robert Saleh? Is it on Jeff Ulbrich? My blame goes on Aaron Rodgers just because of everything he did to derail this team.
Exactly. A big part of it falls on him because he was supposed to be the savior of this team, and in reality, he wasn't. And who knows if he plays again. So, but
I don't
here's the
think
thing.
even if he does play again, the Jets should not go back with him.
No, 1,000% no. Even if he does play again, he's going to be playing somewhere else. But here's the thing: like the O line, like yes, you drafted Fashanu, he's good, but he got hurt. You signed Tyron Smith, he got
They
hurt.
signed a lot of injury-prone
You
guys. That
signed a
was the
bunch of old
problem.
guys. Like what? Did you get that from Madden too? Tyron Smith is an 87 overall in Madden. Look at that. All Pro Bowler. He from the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys had a great O-line in the 2010s. Yeah, let's get him. Let's get Morgan Moses. He was great in Washington too. Like, sure. Like, it makes no sense because you want to draft an O-line, draft a bunch of young guys that are good. Do not draft a bunch of veterans. Tyron Smith played every single game last year with a brace on in Dallas. Like, that's not your starting left tackle. That's supposed to be the main block for Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is not a scrambling quarterback. I'm sorry. When have you
And
ever
that
seen Aaron
he
Rodgers
wasn't a
run?
scrambling quarterback when he was 25. Why is he going to be a scrambler when he's 40 years old?
Exactly. He's not Lamar. He's not even like a CJ Stroud or a Brock Purdy. Like, he does not move the ball. The only time he moves the ball is because his O-line doesn't know how to block, and he's scrambling to the sideline, and that's when he throws those sidearm passes away for a loss of a down. Like, that's what happens. Like, but there's just a lot of things that need to change with the Jets next season. If you even want to get, what'd they finish? 4 wins?
I think more than that because the Giants had
4 wins, 5 wins, whatever we want to call it.
Oh yeah,
5-12. 5
and
and
12.
12
Yeah,
the New York Jets.
great season.
Yeah. Yeah,
They
that
played.
was the year. Like, everyone thought, you know what, we're gonna make the playoffs this year. You were not even close.
They were supposed to. I mean, you can't blame Jets fans for thinking they were going to make the playoffs. They had a Hall of Fame quarterback, good receiving core. Sauce Gardner regressed so much this year. And if I'm the Jets, I can't give him like a big contract in the offseason. Like he's got to prove it to me next season. I mean, you have Sauce Gardner. The defensive line was supposed to be amazing. Brees Hall was supposed to take another step. The offensive line was supposed to be a lot better. It wasn't. We just talked about that. So it just went wrong early for the Jets, and it went wrong in ways that you couldn't really fix in the middle of the season. Because winning with an interim head coach is very difficult. I mean, we saw it a couple of years ago with Antonio Pierce and the Raiders, but outside of that, it's like real difficult. And Antonio Pierce is fired now, so we see how that ended up for the Raiders.
Yeah, I mean, the Raiders, comparing the Raiders to the Jets, the fact that we're looking at that comparison now, like considering who knows what talk we would have had if the Jets had the season that we all expected them to have, this rebound year with Aaron Rodgers. We're comparing them to the Raiders, who are picking like 3rd in the NFL draft. Like that's insane.
They're picking 6th.
Or
no,
6th?
No, they're picking like 8th.
No.
Yeah, because they're way behind the Raiders. Yeah, let me look on Tankathon.
The Raiders are behind the Jets. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But
Wait, let me find it real quick.
Yeah, like that can't be.
Yeah, they're picking 8th. The Jets are picking 7th.
Wow. All right. So sorry, Vegas, you're not getting anybody this year, huh?
They're gonna trade up to the Giants, and the Giants are gonna draft Will Campbell. But we'll get into that in a little bit.
Yeah, we'll see where we go from there. But like a lot of things need to change with this Jets team. Like obviously, I mean, you fired Joe Douglas, he's gone. But Woody's still here at the end of the day. Who's Woody going to bring in as under his wing? Who's Woody going to bring in as a head coach?
But that's where the 33rd team comes in. That's what I thought they did well. Woody's keep stepping out of the door where this past season he was all in. He's like, oh yeah, these Madden ratings are gonna get me right. I know what I'm talking about. I play Madden. He doesn't know what he's talking about. I think he realized that. So that now he's bringing in an outside source to right his wrong, which is good, but it's not gonna save him from the discrediting over the Madden stuff.
No, it's not. That's a joke. That's like not even like a joke that we can brush under the rug. That's a joke that's going to be like with him for the rest of the time in New York. Like I'm sure the planes are going to be flying over MetLife in for Jets games this year
Nah,
over Giants
nah.
games. We'll see. But obviously, you got to revamp the quarterback room. I mean, obviously, you're not going to give Jordan Travis a shot. You're not going to you give Tyrod Taylor a shot. Does
Call me
he?
crazy, but I think Tyrod Taylor can do it.
Tyrod Taylor has had
Like,
some bright moments.
obviously the expectations are going to be different, and they're not going to be like really like I don't know Super Bowl expectations, AFC Championship expectations. But I think he could get you 8, 9 wins, maybe sneak into the playoffs. I think Tyrod Taylor is capable of that. Like he's
Yeah,
proved in the past, he's a ready quarterback. He's a seasoned vet. He's been in the Jets organization for a year now. Why not give him a shot if you can't find a better option?
but that's the thing. Like, I feel like there could be a better option in the first round at your selection. I would not take a quarterback. That's just my
No,
personal opinion.
no.
I would take a guy like who do I have down here? I would take a guy like Mason Graham to strengthen your D line. Mason Graham out of Michigan's pretty good. If
Let's
Abdul
see.
Carter's there,
Mason Graham is projected to go fifth overall to the Jack.
okay.
Tankathon has them taking Abdul Carter out of Penn State.
Abdul Carter would help tremendously. Abdul Carter's
Yeah.
a dog. If you watched him throughout the season, throughout the college football playoff, he was amazing for Penn
Yeah.
State. He was second coming of Micah Parsons. Something about Penn State guys, edge rushers that wear number 11. It works. But if you don't want to go defense, you want to go offense. If a guy like McMillan from Arizona's there, you got to take him. I don't know if Devontae Adams going to stick around next year.
I think you got to move. I think you got to move off both of them.
You do Rogers and Adams, so that leaves. I'm sure Lazard sticks around for another
Yeah,
year.
yeah. So you like once you get find a way to get rid of Rodgers, maybe he retires, makes it easy on you. Find a way to dump Devontae Adams. I don't know what his contract situation is, but maybe you have to trade him. He might be a free agent. I don't think he is though. Tankathon has Tataria Owa McMillan going
Yeah,
fourth overall to the Patriots. I don't know how to say his name, but he's going fourth. The guy that I think can fall to you out of this is Will Johnson. I think he's the most likely to fall. It would only be one pick if the Raiders passed up on him. But if you want to take a corner, which I don't think you need, so
no,
I wouldn't take it anyway. Um, but I don't know. Maybe you go Will Campbell, who's slated to go ninth right now. Fortify that offensive line a little bit. Maybe there's something there. I don't know. I don't know.
yeah, it's a tough pick. Like,
It's
I
weird because like their running back room is good. They've got solid wide receivers. Their secondary is a little bit questionable to me, which is why I said Will Johnson. But like outside of Sauce Gardner, you don't really have much, and who knows what Sauce Gardner is at this point. So
exactly. Do you go Malachi? Is Malachi Starks a reach? A safety? You could benefit from Malachi Starks. Is he a reach? You can go Malachi
no,
Starks.
start. It would only be like a one pick reach.
It's not real. Okay, that's fine. But like, I feel like I would not go. I mean, O line. I wouldn't go Will Campbell. I think Will Campbell. Like, a lot of people are telling me that Calvin Banks is a lot better than Will Campbell this year.
Huh.
Considering like Will Campbell's a monster. He's like monster build, 6'6", 300 something pounds. But his everyone says his arms are like so tiny. Like his arms are like he does not have a good arm strength compared to like a guy like Calvin Banks. Like, but
I like his mentality. Did you hear him talk before? I think it was his bowl game where he was like, you let up one sack a game and you're working at Walmart. But if you sack the quarterback once a game, you're one of the highest paid rushers in the NFL. I love that mindset. So bringing him, I don't know, going for him. I don't know. I think he's gonna be good. I'm a believer in his.
yeah, I could see him working out in the NFL, but I don't know what you do for the Jets. I don't know what the decision's going to be. I feel like quarterback is definitely not in the cards the first round. No way.
Nah.
Running back, no. Tyler Warren, no. Tyler Conklin's fine. The only tight end I would ever take is Tyler Warren, but I would not take a tight end with a seventh overall pick.
Yeah,
Like
no, that's not worth it.
that does not go well. Just ask Atlanta. That did not work out. That did not work out. Um, O line, D line, O line, D line. That's where I would go first round.
Who would
That's
you
what I
take? Who would you
think.
take if you're gonna go with the D lineman?
I'm gonna go D lineman if he's there. I'm gonna go Abdul Carter. 1,000%. I'm gonna go Abdul Carter if he's
Yeah,
there.
that makes sense.
I feel like he will be there too. Because I
I
feel
think
like
he will too. Yeah.
Titans are definitely going quarterback. Browns are going quarterback. Like it's gonna be an offense heavy the first like five. So I feel like
I think the first four to five picks will all be offense.
mhm.
Because quarterback, wide receiver slash cornerback, wide receiver, and then maybe the Jags take a receiver. Maybe they take. I don't know. They need a lot of help on offense.
They do.
They need help everywhere though. So we'll see what the Jets do. Um, but outside of the outside of the draft, what do you think they'll do in free? Like, who do you think they'll go after as a free agent?
I feel like you got to do a lot of things at free agency. Like you can't be shy like the Dallas Cowboys and just do not do anything until like August and say like, here we're signing a 30-something-year-old running back. Like we'll do that. But no, like I feel like a thing. It depends. Like I got to bring up the free agent list. Like, but I
Just give
definitely
position group.
okay. I would go for sure. I would bring in an extra receiver if you do not take one in the first two rounds of the draft. I would bring in an extra receiver in. I would bring in I would go after, you know who I would go after actually, now that I just have the list up? I would go after a guy like Javon Holland. I would go after Javon
Hmm.
Holland. He could really do something in your secondary. A safety would be great, so you don't have to take one. I would maybe take a guy like go after. I mean, DJ Reed's a free agent for the Jets. So looking at that, like I would try to get him back. Like
Yeah, yeah,
if
yeah.
you let him go, that's another hole you got to fill
Right.
because Sauce will be all by himself. Who knows? Do the Bill? I'm assuming the Bills go another year of Amari Cooper. I feel like
I think they have to
what he's done.
after what he's done since coming over.
Maybe a guy like Ronnie Stanley or Trey Smith on the offensive line. Or if you don't want to take Abdul, I feel like you are going to take Abdul Carter. So like maybe
I
like
think that's the pick for them.
or maybe another corner, Charvarius Ward is going to be a free agent.
That's interesting. I would
Who
look at
knows if
that.
John Lynch holds on to him? But I feel like it has to be on defense. I feel like that's got to improve now that you let Robert Saleh go because he was a defensive guru as a head coach. He was like a 1-2 punch like on defense and as a head coach. But I don't know. I feel like defense is where you're prioritizing. I would try to go after a guy like Javon Holland or Travarius Ward for sure.
Yeah, I think you're probably gonna need probably a wide receiver because you got Garrett Wilson and Alan Lazard. If you're the Jets, would you try to splurge on a T. Higgins? Is that something you do?
Um, I feel like did you trade you signed Devontae Adams, right? Or no, you traded him for him,
They
right?
trade for a midseason, yeah.
Does Devontae Adams get you something? I feel like Devontae Adams for T Higgins would be just straight criminal. That
Well,
would be like
no. T. Higgins is a free agent.
T Higgins. I feel like though, if I cannot see a world where the Bengals let him go, like the bank what he's done in the back half of
They're
the
gonna have to
ladder
pay.
this
They're gonna
year.
have to pay Jamar Chase this year too.
Oh, we forgot about that. Okay, maybe I don't know. It's gonna. I would not offer him much. I would not offer him a contract nowhere near a guy like Jefferson, Lamb, Amon Ra. I would go maybe if you want to reach for him. I think it'd be great for you. I just think it's
It's not worth it.
you,
They have more needs.
Higgins. I feel like with the way he played this season, he's gonna ask for a lot,
Right.
and he's still young. He's gonna ask for a lot.
He's gonna ask for a lot, absolutely. And he deserves it because he played real well this year. Him,
Mhm.
I don't know, like, but for the Bengals, they already lost Tyler Boyd, right?
Yeah.
So if they lose Tyler Boyd and then they lose T. Higgins, but you get Jamar Chase out of it, I don't think that's worth like. I don't know. Maybe one of them will take a more team friendly deal. That's not gonna happen. It's the NFL.
This
Um,
is not the NBA with Jalen Brunson like supporting all his friends. Like
yeah, no, that's not gonna
this is a
happen.
cutthroat business. You want to be the richest man here.
Right. I I don't like the Bengals should do everything they can to keep him. I just don't think they're gonna have the resources after signing already a big he Jamar Chase is probably gonna be the highest paid player
For sure.
non-quarterback
1,000%.
all time. Um, so you got to think about that, and then like what else can the Bengals do to keep T Higgins? But for the Jets wise, they have so many holes to fill. Like they need a wide receiver, an offensive lineman, probably another defensive lineman. It's a secondary piece for the defense, probably a kicker.
Yeah. At this point,
They need so much outside of the wide receiver position. Like T Higgins is just he's an auxiliary piece. He's one of the last guys you sign to make a Super Bowl push. He's not one of the first guys you sign when you're trying to set a new culture. So that's where I think the Jets they should be in on him, but they shouldn't try to do too much with it.
right? No, I feel like even if you don't, I feel like if I feel like let's see if you don't go T Higgins, let's see, you go Chris Godwin.
Could
I
go
mean, Chris
Chris
Godwin's a
Godwin.
little injury prone, but Chris Godwin's
I don't see the
attainable.
Bucks. I don't see the Bucks letting him walk.
Chris Godwin, Stephon Diggs would never come
No,
here.
Stephon Diggs is not.
Andre Hopkins, if he wins the Super Bowl in KC, he's not going to leave. Let's see, like Chris Godwin is like honestly, Marquise Brown. I could.
I'm a write off that.
You're right off Marquise Brown. Keenan Allen. Oh, he's old.
Nah, he's injury prone.
Yes, maybe Chris. I don't know, but call me crazy. Maybe it is Justin Fields an option?
At wide
Is
receiver,
no, as a move for the Jets.
I think he's a free agent. Yeah,
He will be. Is Justin Fields someone you try to consider?
I think he should be an option for both the Jets and the Giants.
For sure.
I think both of them should be in on him. I would love him to be on the Giants, and then have like a quarterback competition this summer. But I think that's not out of the realm of possibility. That's something that could happen for the
I
Jets.
mean, Justin
100%.
Fields needs a rebound in his career. Like Pittsburgh was
Didn't treat him
ugh.
well.
Pittsburgh did not. I mean, he started off 3-0 and then he just kind of plateaued and then Russell Wilson kind of just saved the day.
Once Mike Tomlin hit his 10 wins, though, neither of them were good,
And neither of them.
and then they're gonna lose wild card round.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. For the Jets, last thing we're gonna talk about here with the Jets. If you're Woody Johnson and whatever GM they bring in, which of the young guys do you want to lock up right now? Would you rather lock up Garrett Wilson, Brees Hall, Sauce Gardner, or Braylon Allen? Braylon Allen, I just threw in there. He's a little bit younger. But which one of those guys would you like to lock up this year?
Oh, 1,000% it's Garrett Wilson. Garrett, he's the difference maker on that offense. Like this season, like he proved to be like even though Aaron Rodgers had all his former Packer friends, like Garrett Wilson still was the guy that stepped up tremendously for that offense. So he's got to stay through and through as long as you can keep him.
Yeah, for me, I got to go Garrett Wilson also, but I think you could make an argument for Brees Hall. I know like the running backs are incredibly devalued nowadays, but Brees Hall seems like one of the ones who you can keep. Like he's one of the guys that's worth it. We've seen what he can do. I think he does have to prove it a little bit this upcoming season because he did fall off a little bit and didn't have a great year this past season. But I think you can make an argument for him in
Right.
saying that wide receivers grow on trees in the NFL. You can always get a good wide receiver through the draft. Running backs, they're popular, but not as much. So I don't know. I would say Garrett Wilson, but Brees Hall is definitely there.
For sure. I mean, you got a lot of young guys on the offense that have to stick around as long as they can because that like they're homegrown players essentially, if you want to call them that when it comes to the Jets. Like the Jets groom them. Like I feel like they cannot walk like anytime soon. Like if they go, then it's just going to be even worse.
Well, how much worse can it get for the Jets? I mean, like they don't have a good quarterback coming into the year. They don't have a head coach as it stands. They don't have a general manager right now. We're a couple months away from the draft. They don't have a GM or a head coach. And the GM and head coach, they have to come in and get synced up real quick before this draft. They have to get on the same page really fast and decide who they want to draft. So if you're the Jets, if those players walk, I mean, there's no culture being built, so you can't be that mad.
Right. Like I mean, who knows like where this team goes. I think it'll work. I think they'll be better without Rodgers this next season.
Absolutely.
This
Even
season,
even
the
even
dynamic.
like even getting rid of his play will be better that for them. But more than his play is what he does off the field. He was such a bad teammate and leader off the field these past 2 seasons. It was nonstop with him. Just getting that out of your system and out of your organization will probably give them an extra win or two.
Exactly. You're now looking at a 7, 8, 9 win team potentially, and who knows, whatever quarterback could lead a team to the promised land. Look at Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold this year, other than the Week 18 game to the Lions, Sam Darnold pretty much proved that like, hey, you can take a team that everyone counts out and you can turn them around. Anything's possible at the NFL. Like it all. I mean, a big part of that is your quarterback, and who knows who's going to be taking snaps next year for the Jets.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know with the Jets. I mean, it's such an unknown right now because there's like they don't have a quarterback, they don't have a head coach, they don't have a GM. Those are the three main pieces. The formula to build an NFL team, you got to have a good coach. You got to have a good general manager. You got to have a good quarterback. Those are the three integral parts. And then you could do whatever you want. You just have to build a solid team around those guys. But you absolutely have to have the GM, the head coach, and the quarterback. But now let's get to the Giants, who don't have a quarterback and shouldn't have the other two. Jason, what do you think they did well this year? I mean, there's not much of a silver lining to this year, but you can pick
There's not
something.
much. There's not much, but you know what I will say. I will say I'll give praise to the Giants. I'll give praise to a guy like Tyron Tracy. He had a pretty good start to his career. Like even though he was on the Giants, he kind of had some good games. I will give it to I will give it to Drew Lock at some points throughout the year. He played pretty solid. Like there was a couple games where Drew Lock played pretty solid. The defense, I feel like the whole defensive line with Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, like that, Kayvon Thibodeau, the front seven played pretty. I would say did pretty well.
Not as
Like
good as we thought they were going to be, though.
not as good as we thought on paper coming into the season with that defense. But I feel, but that's a different problem with Shane Bowen and his leadership style. But I feel like it's not much. I mean, you can take all that. You could take Tyron Tracy, Drew Lock to their fullest potential, and it immediately gets canceled out with everything known to man humanly possible about what happened with, not just Daniel Jones or letting Saquon Barkley go, but like what Mara and Shane, that diabolical duo that is just pretty much sunk the ship for the New York Giants for at least like the next like 5 or so years. Like it's
They're not going to get 5 years. Joe Shane isn't going to get 5 years if he doesn't
no
do
way.
something.
Like you only get like his son told him you only get this job once, and he's blowing it right now.
He's doing everything he can to blow it. I mean, it's like he doesn't want the Giants to succeed at this point. I mean, you pass on two quarterbacks that are playing in the playoffs this year. One of which it's kind of Tommy DeVito's fault because he messed up your tank, and the other one it's flat out Joe Shane's fault and Michael Penix Jr. I alluded to this last episode, but now we're gonna get into it a little bit more. The Giants were in a prime spot to draft Michael Penix Jr. They drafted sixth overall. And I'm not saying they would have been in the playoffs, but I'm saying they would have been a heck of a lot better if they had Michael Penix Jr., who showed he was capable in the last couple weeks of the season, than Drew Lock, Daniel Jones, and Tommy Cutlets. They would have been so much better if they had Michael Penix Jr. because then they could have gone out and they could have signed a wide receiver in free agency. Michael Penix Jr. can get out of the pocket better than Daniel Jones can. I think he's more mobile. He's got a bigger arm. He's got better decision making. I mean, there's so many more upsides to Michael Penix Jr. than the quarterbacks the Giants deployed this year, because none of them were good. They all sucked. And for the Giants moving forward, what are you going to do at the quarterback position? Are you going to wait till the second round and draft Jackson Dart? That's what I want them to do. Or are you going to be aggressive and try to draft, I don't know, who's going to be the third quarterback of this class? I mean, who's going to be the guy that shoots up draft boards? I think it has the chance to be a Jackson Dart. I think he's the guy that's most likely to be the one that shoots up the draft boards and doesn't pan out as well. Even though I think he will pan out, I think he will be a good quarterback in the NFL for a while. But there's so many options last year. And I think last year's quarterback class is definitely better than this one, like without a doubt. So it's just awful that what Joe Shane did.
Yeah, that Daniel Jones contract has to be up there with like some of the worst moves
Is it worse than the
ever.
Deshaun Watson contract?
No, it's not. It's not worse than that. Like that has a lot more problems off the field than on the field performance. But Daniel Jones, he played what? He played that one decent season,
Yeah,
beat
he
the
played
Minnesota
he played
Vikings in the
one
playoffs.
mediocre he played one mediocre season.
Yep, one mediocre season. Here's $160 million, 4 years.
But
Here
the
you
thing
go.
But the thing is, at that time, you had to pay him. Like, he was coming off the best season of his career. It seemed like you had found your head coach, your general manager of the future, and this was going to be a team you could build around these guys and maybe make them a Super Bowl contender. So you had to pay Daniel Jones. You weren't going to let him walk after he just won you a road playoff game. Like, that's just not an option.
Then they played one game, the first game of the season, the next season, and then everyone went back to the anti Daniel Jones bandwagon. But the other thing was Daniel Jones got paid, had a terrible next couple of seasons, and then you guys go on Hard Knocks, and pretty much it's literally just a comedy show. The entire season of like what goes on behind the scenes on Hard Knocks, like how did they get Hard Knocks? How did that team get its own show? It's not like they did a split for the division like this year with the AFC North. It's not like the NFC East got their own spotlight. How did the Giants get their own show on Hard
Because
Knocks?
that's the premise of the show. You follow one team that sucked last year around for whatever it is, off season, training camp, in season. They're expanding it a lot now, but that's what the show is. You follow a bad team for a month or however long it is.
And it's just so sad. Like, despite the whole, Joe Shane's kid telling him clearly he plays Madden. Clearly he watched college football. Clearly he knows who he was doing. Even his daughters knew what he was doing. He could, yeah, should, like, oh, everyone thought, you know what, take JJ McCarthy because he was cute. No, you could have taken JJ McCarthy because JJ McCarthy was a good pick if he didn't get hurt. Could have
Well,
taken
he
Michael
got hurt.
Penix.
He got hurt, so you can't say if it's a good pick or not. I don't think JJ McCarthy is gonna be that good of a pick.
We'll see, but like, I mean, like, you could have taken Michael Penix. You could have reached for Drake May. Could have taken Jaden Daniels. Should have listened to your son. But the other thing was in that show that they showed you was, I don't know who said it, but the one of the old guys said, "I'm gonna have a tough time sleeping if Saquon goes to
John Mara,
Philadelphia." That guy?
yeah, their owner.
Oh, that's John Mara that said that.
Yep.
Wow. So why did you? Why did you let him go to Philadelphia?
Because
Why did you let
Joe,
him test the market?
because Joe Shane runs the franchise. Like, he's taken so much control. Like, you give him an inch, he took a mile. He is in more control than John Mara is at this point. Like, he runs the franchise every step of the way. And he didn't think Saquon deserved it. So it's not John Mara's fault because, well, it is because he let Joe Shane take over the franchise that's supposed to be his and has so much history. But they I don't know. Joe Shane isn't an NFL owner for a reason.
Right, and it's clearly shown with the last couple seasons he's been there. But like, it's insane that the level of like the regression from that one promising season to now, it's just like, oh, like it was that time you made the playoffs like 9 years ago in 2016, and then you had those like
The
six
boat,
terrible.
the
Then you had those
boat
exact. Oh, the boat pick, guys.
pictures,
Let's take a
the
picture on
boat
a boat and see
pictures.
where that gets us.
Bruh.
And 7 years later, then you make the playoffs again,
Yeah,
and now we're back in the disaster again. Once again, we're here. Same, same, same
just
problem.
another season as a
Yeah,
Giants fan. Nothing new.
exactly. There's nothing new. Like I feel like there a lot of things went wrong. Saquon's gone, and now Saquon just like gave you a big middle finger and said, "Here, I'm gonna run for 2,000 yards in Philadelphia, and you're gonna watch as we make a potential deep playoff run." That's where Saquon Barkley went. Xavier McKinney went to go lead the league in interceptions. That's where he went. So now who's left? Nobody. Nobody's stepping up. Dexter Lawrence, he's the only one that's left.
He's an
That's like
all-pro.
he's an all pro. He's like hanging on a
What
thread.
you do? I got my all-pro. I got my Pro Bowl.
Look at
We
Dexter
won. We
Lawrence.
won 3 games.
He got his
Three.
Pro Bowl All Pro Sunday Night Football intro, and he is good. He's happy. He's happy over there on the Giants defensive line. I'm sure everyone's gonna buy a Dexter Lawrence jersey next year only. But next season, I don't know what you do this offseason. I don't know what you do in free agency. The draft is, oh my God. I already see it that you do not take it. If you go quarterbackless again,
I am not okay if the Giants go.
oh boy, if you go 7 rounds without a quarterback, I think there's going to be more than planes flying over MetLife Stadium next season. It's going to be scary if you do not, and you have to. You really do. Jackson Dart's there. Like Carson Beck is obviously not there anymore, but I don't think he was going to be a good fit for you anyway. Jackson Dart is there. Dillian Gabriel is there. Even if you want to reach
Kyle McCord.
Kyle McCord is there. Kyle McCord turned it around in Syracuse. I'm sorry. I don't know what Kyle McCord would that happened at Ohio State, but Kyle McCord at Syracuse turned it around. He really improved. I wouldn't mind taking him myself, but I mean, watch you guys take DJ Uyunglele, like the worst quarterback on the board. Like,
Don't give Joe Shane ideas, bro.
don't give Joe Shane DJ Uyunglele. Don't. Hey,
You got really good.
oh my God! I think he had to have been the worst quarterback in the FBS, the whatever it is last year. But I don't know what you do. Like you're clearly not getting Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. That's off the table. Like it.
Unless you trade up.
Unless you trade up, exactly. Titans are clenching onto that thing no matter what. The Browns are clenching onto that thing no matter what.
I don't know about the Browns.
What do you do? Deshaun Watson ruptured his Achilles again. Like, what do you do?
I know. I'm saying, I don't know. You suck for another year, and then you wind up in the same spot with Deshaun Watson coming back next season. I don't know. You say you don't know what the Giants are going to do in the offseason. I got you. Here's a step-by-step plan of everything the Giants.
Give it to me. Tell me why we're going to go more than. Tell me why we're going to be better than 3-14. Give me the blueprint.
First round of the draft. You trade back from 3 to anywhere from 6 to 8, and you draft Will Campbell out of LSU. You need an offensive lineman. Your offensive line sucked last year. You get one in the first round. I think this dude is going to be a monster. In the second round, you take Jackson Dart out of Ole Miss. He is a blank canvas for Brian Daboll to go to work on. He's big, he's athletic, he's got arm strength, he's got all the tools to do it, and a great quarterback coach in Brian Daboll to show him the ways. Step number 3, in free agency, you revamp your offensive line completely. Everybody besides John Michael Schmitz and Andrew Thomas goes. You might be able to keep Jermaine Illuminor if you can't find a better option, but everybody else needs to be replaced. And Andrew Thomas needs a viable backup who's ready to play 7 to 8 games a year, probably more than that. because their offensive line was just terrible. And if you're going to bring in a rookie quarterback, you got to give him some iteration of an offensive line that can keep him on his feet. All right, number 4, you add a veteran to your secondary. You have nothing but young guys back there. You got Tyler Nubin, you got Drew Phillips, you got Tay Banks out there. You got nothing but younger guys. You bring in a veteran. It's been rumored that the Packers are going to cut Jair Alexander. Maybe you bring him in. He's got to be pretty high on your priorities list if he gets cut. And step number 5, add a veteran wide receiver. If the Giants don't decide to trade back and take Will Campbell, which I think they can live with taking Travis Hunter at 3rd, I would rather Will Campbell. But if they don't trade back and they take Travis Hunter as it's slated at 3, you got to add a veteran. That's Wan'Dale Robinson, Malik Neighbors, and Travis Hunter as your wideouts. Those are 3 guys that are all young. Maybe you bring in a T. Higgins if you want to spend some money. But the wide receivers, and especially veteran wide receivers, grow on trees in the NFL. You're going to be able to find a guy that's a veteran that has a bunch of years in the league and can help you out a lot. And then next year, I think you could be 5-6 win, maybe 7 win team.
Oh my God.
I'm just kidding. 5 wins is ridiculous. They're not.
Wow, that whole plan got you 2 extra wins. Oh boy.
Well, I think you have to factor in that they're playing the hardest schedule in the league. They got to play the Lions. They got to play the Vikings. They got to play the Chiefs. It's ridiculous.
Vikings, Chiefs, Packers, Niners. Oh yeah. Let's do it at home. It's fun. Oh, not to mention the Lions too.
Oh yeah, I can't wait for that one.
Can't wait for them. Can't wait for them to come to town.
No, I can't wait.
Yeah,
that's gonna be a fun game to watch.
You know what a plan! What a plan!
I
like it. I like it. I like the plan. I feel. Who's the veteran receiver though? Is it Chris Godwin?
I don't. Yeah, I think it could be a Chris Godwin. It could be a DeAndre Hopkins. Just one of those kind of guys that aren't going to be too expensive, but also going to provide you like a viable amount. And then I think you could also add like a T. Higgins as like your big addition if like you're in on him and you feel good about the rest of your team.
Yeah, I mean I hear you a lot here. I feel like the dynamic just needs to change, and I mean it might work out. It might work out. I feel like Will Campbell's. Do you say trade down or trade at your pick? You say your pick and draft Will Campbell.
If you're gonna draft Will Campbell, you gotta trade down.
So how far?
Probably anywhere between 5 and 8.
5 and 8. What are you, 4?
3.
Oh, you're 3. Okay. I feel like if you were to trade down, you got to get a lot in return. I feel like
yeah. It's got to be for the right return. You got to get probably a second day 1 pick, another day 2 pick at least, and then maybe a pick for next year on probably like day 1 or 2 also.
I feel like for a team like the Raiders, maybe that would help you out. I feel like
that's like the target I'm eyeing. I think the Raiders are going to be the team, if any team, that the Giants trade back to.
Yeah, imagine the Raiders just reach on Jackson Dart. Imagine the Raiders
just I don't appreciate that.
The Raiders just foil your plan the entire time and just take Jackson Dart.
Well, even if the Raiders do take Jackson Dart, there's still guys like you mentioned, Dylan Gabriel. There's still Kyle McCord. Stay as far away as you can from Jalen Milroe. Don't let him come anywhere near your practice facility.
Roll Tide.
But there's still other quarterbacks that are out there.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of options that you can't go wrong. You can. I mean, there's Jalen Milroe and DJ Uyunglele, but can't go wrong with anybody else.
DJ Uyunglele is not getting drafted, bro.
Dude, there's no way, right? He went like 3-10.
And then we're sitting here in May. Yeah, so guys, the Giants actually drafted DJ Uyunglele.
Uyunglele, quarterback, Florida State. Yeah, that's the move. No, they can't. But I feel like Will Campbell or Kelvin Banks would be definitely the move, or any top O lineman. I would not touch the defense in the first round.
No, absolutely not.
But all right, so what happens though if you only get 8 minutes, 10 minutes
for what?
The first round pick.
I don't know.
Okay, let's say you're running out of time and no one calls and say, "Hey, we'll take your trade down."
Travis
But
Hunter easy.
what?
Travis Hunter easy.
Travis Hunter at the third overall pick.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I said as part of my plan. Like I'm okay with drafting him if you can't trade down.
Okay, Travis Hunter would be for what though? For what position?
Wide receiver. He's too small to play corner.
Wide receiver. Okay. So, Travis Hunter, Malik Neighbors. So let's see if that
Yeah,
hope that works out.
you're better
But
suited with him as a receiver. Like the receiving core needs more of a top guy than the secondary to that thing. I think it's more replaceable. Like the second to find a secondary piece in free agency is gonna be a lot easier than what could be a top wide receiver in Travis Hunter.
right, I feel like if you go Travis Hunter, you pair him with Malik Neighbors, you
Yeah.
get you get Jackson Dart in the second round. You get a couple of serviceable, healthy veteran linemen. Do not copy the Jets and take everyone that's been injured 5 times in their career.
Don't worry. John Mayer is too old to play Madden. I know it's a stretch
He's
that
too
Woody
old
John.
to play Madden. I think he's younger than old man Woody over there.
Please no.
I don't know. Maybe Joe Shane is telling his kids, "Hey, load up a franchise. Let's see what we can do." Like, Chris Godwin, 82 overall. I think that. I think we can make that work, like a 2-year deal. Like, little things like that can go. Like little things like signing veterans and drafting the right players can easily go a long way. History has proven that with a lot of teams in the NFL, the NFL history. I will say a quick update for let's like turn away from this. The Houston Texans are absolutely destroying the LA Chargers right now. 25-12 with 3 minutes to go in the game.
This game's not done yet. It's a stop and a
Oh
score.
yeah. The Texans have the ball, buddy.
Oh, they do. Yeah, I
They
thought
do.
they had it. Yeah,
Texans
this
have
game.
the ball.
Oh yeah, they're
And
threatening to score again too. They're in field goal range.
Jim Harbaugh. Oh, who's got
I
it better than us? Everybody. We all knew it. Anyway, back to the
Wow,
Giants.
that's both. We both picked the Chargers too, right?
So did the rest of the world.
Yeah.
So did everybody else. All right, you know what? If Baltimore loses tonight, it's rigged. If Baltimore loses, they're like 10-point favorites. If they lose,
They're not losing tonight.
if they lose at home, it's rigged.
That's just not on the table whatsoever.
Yeah, no way. But back to the Giants. Like I said, like a little goes a long way. Like I mean, if Joe Shane can act and John Mayer can get their act together, and hopefully no planes fly over MetLife Stadium saying for fans telling you what to do, what every analyst and fan is telling you what to do that you won't do. But I feel like that's just the move. Like you just got to focus on your young guys, focus on what you have, and then work a little in the offseason. And that's the New York Giants for you. And like hopefully you improve. I'm not saying like go crazy and like shoot for a 9-10 win season, but like 6, 7, 8 wins is like where you want to shoot for, and then like next following season, there you go.
Just keep improving. So
Exactly.
here's the thing. You're bringing a young quarterback. You're bringing in a young wide receiver. You build up this secondary. You put a veteran at in the secondary and a wide receiver. All of a sudden, you're starting to build a young core. You're starting to build something for the future. Whereas with Daniel Jones, it was Brian Daboll and Joe Shane just got here. They went to the playoffs first year. Let's give them a massive contract. Let's try to ride this thing right out. Joe Shane and Brian Daboll. Brian Daboll is a quarterback coach, and Joe Shane's supposed to be one of the top executives. The Texans just scored again, by the way, 31-12. They lead it.
Oh,
Um, so you're building a young core. You're building a team for the future. These guys, you got 4 years on their rookie contracts, and then you see what you can lock them up in free agency or before then. All of a sudden, you're in a prime spot to be competitive in a couple years. So it might not be the worst thing in the world that the Giants got the 3 as opposed to the 1 or the 2.
yeah, it might all work out, but it all depends on what Shane and Merritt do. They could
Yeah.
they could easily screw it up. They could screw the whole thing up and take like I don't know, Mason Graham, defensive tackle, Michigan.
No.
They could, and then oh my
Who's,
god.
who's got the highest college football rating?
Okay. We gotta check that out,
Wait,
right?
wait, wait, wait.
CFB 25.
Going back to the Jets real quick.
But here's the difference.
Who's got the highest CFP rating out of Will Johnson,
Like,
Abdul Carter, and Malachi Starks?
let's see. Hold on. Let's see because the Jets can have Madden, but the Giants can have CFB, the hottest new game, right? All right. Let's see who it is. The number one player overall. Travis Hunter.
Well, no. I'm saying out of 5, 6, and 7 for the Jets.
For what? Oh, like the
out of
wait,
out of Abdul Carter, Malachi Starks, and Will Johnson, who has the highest CFP rating?
Abdul Carter 97.
All right, so the Jets are gonna take Abdul Carter.
Jets are gonna take Abdul Carter.
That's what it is, and the Giants are gonna take Travis Hunter. CFP working for
Exactly.
both teams. All right, that's good to do for this episode. Chasing Victory with Ben Bally and Jason Lee. If you enjoyed, please consider subscribing and following down below. But for now, I'm Ben Bally, and that's Jason Lee. We'll talk to you on Wednesday.